This is my interview, episode 12 of the Chatbox podcast that I did back in April-May time with Lee Babour from RB1 TX1 and formerly of Rover Radio and lots of other TX Tracks FM and all them, and Rover Radio and all that network of beautiful stations. Yeah, here's my interview with the legendary Lee Babour here on YouTube, here on the Chatbox podcast with me, Ben Lister.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Chatterbox podcast. How you do? It's episode 12. How are you doing? Right, let's crack on. As you know, each week I have a guest to talk about their careers or job. So let's crack on with it, shall we? With this week's guest, it's broadcaster Lee Babour. Hello Lee, welcome along.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ben. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How are you today?
I'm all right, mate. I'm a little bit busy, but I've always got time to talk to the great Ben. So I'm doing all right. How are you?
Bit tired, but I'm not great. Please don't give me that accolade.
You are great. You are the best. I've heard the people that you've had on this podcast. You are the man to go speak to, Ben. So you carry on doing what you're doing. You are the great Ben. Don't worry about that.
I think some of my heroes are more greater than me because of the work they've done, and I respect their work.
That's a lovely thing to say about it, because you've already reeled off before we clicked record. You were telling me about the amazing people that you've had, and the people that you've spoken to, the people that when I was younger that I was listening to, and they still are in fact my absolute idols. So you've had some great people on, and I do apologize that this is where it goes downhill. So this is the one where people skip over, Ben. So I'm so sorry.
No, they were. You're a brilliant broadcaster.
That's very nice of you to say, mate. Thank you very much.
That's good. 5 questions about radio broadcasting, if that's okay.
That's good. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
You ready to rumble in the jungle?
Just about, Ben.
Okay, let's go over the top, shall we? Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
So I started my broadcast career, like I was saying earlier, but for the purpose of the tape. When I was 16, 17 years old, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't have a clue. A little bit different to what you usually get on podcasts like this. Usually involves somebody buying a childhood radio in the 1980s, and it just blows the mind. But I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to college and studying TV and film. It was brilliant. I enjoyed it. And then one day somebody gave me a mic because the presenter of this live event in college that was being streamed online didn't turn up. So I happened to just take the mic off them. I was very shy, had no confidence at all. And then I started talking to a mic, heard my voice. People started interacting with what I was saying in the live studio, and I loved it. And then I started off into the journey of broadcasting, which eventually took me to Real Radio Yorkshire, which is now called Heart, and obviously controlled by some big media companies. I started at Real Radio Yorkshire on something called the Real Radio Academy. And I had no experience in radio at all. And the task was, Ben, to turn up and to learn about radio for 3 hours a week for 3 months. And during that, you'd learn a little bit about presenting, a little bit about jingle creating, commercial side of things, the finance side, how to create news and how to find the news and how to edit the news. So it's like a whistle-stop tour of how radio is put together. And as soon as I walked in, and there's no joke, it sounds very, very cheesy, but as soon as I walked in and saw that radio station and saw the studio and the flashing lights, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then that was kind of it. I was hooked then. And I got a job working for Real Radio Yorkshire's event team. So going to events and things like that when I was on my 18th birthday. And then that gave me the hunger to go into presenting and producing and things like that. So that's where I started. A little bit different to what you might hear usually. But I started literally by fluke, by applying to something 1 minute before the deadline, managing to get on, and then kind of hooked ever since, to be honest.
Yeah, and also I know someone who presented at Real, I think. It was a person who now works for Radio Leeds, and I think it's Gail Lofthouse who does mid-mornings.
Yes. Yeah, so get the part of the actual Real Radio Academy was that we were allowed halfway through to how maybe like a month and a half in, we could sit on the breakfast show. So my dad drove me. I was 17. He drove me to Wakefield or Leeds, where the station was, and then he dropped me off outside. It was pitch black. I walked in and then said to the producer, "My name's Lee. I'm supposed to sit on the breakfast show." And it was Dixie and Gail doing the breakfast show. I sat in the corner really quietly for 2.5 hours. I had to leave half an hour before to get back to college for my first lesson at quarter to 9 or 9 o'clock, something like that. And in fact, I think it might have been, Ben, maybe a year after, or they were the reigning breakfast show of the year. So they were at the top of their game. And that I mean, I said that was the moment when I walked in and saw the studio. That's what I meant by that was the moment when I walked in and saw them doing the show. It was a well-oiled machine, and both of them, Dixie and Gail, just absolutely incredible. If anybody's had the privilege of watching them two at work, then you've seen some of the best at that time as well. They were incredible.
It's a bit like as well, I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting her. It's a bit like former person of Radio Air, former boss of Radio Air, and she was on Calendar and Look North. I think it was Krista Ackroyd.
Okay, yeah. I've never met her, no, but I know who she is. Her. Yeah, definitely.
Because she's famous in your part of Yorkshire.
She is. We're very proud of our. Well, you're from. I mean, is Hull that is? Are we still counting that as Yorkshire? Is that allowed? Are you Yorkshire?
I believe.
Right, so you're not in. You're counting that as not Yorkshire then. That's fine. That's you can tell what you like, Ben. That's all right.
We have our own BBC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now in Yorkshire, I think. Yeah, the thing with BBC and ITV, we're very proud of who our local broadcasters are, which is rather nice, I think. So like Harry Gresham, for example. I mean, what a legend, what an icon. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I've spoke with Gail Lofthouse because she may be coming on to do one of these in a few months.
But she's brilliant, and she's very entertaining, captivating person who will have amazing answers to your questions, no doubt. But definitely, probably. I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your job, Ben. But I would definitely kind of dig a little deeper into that Dixie and Gail kind of time in her career. It was just incredible. I mean, that breakfast show was the breakfast show in Yorkshire for quite a while.
Actually, the breakfast, because they had stiff competition. They had Stephanie Hurst and her gang.
Hurst's Daily Dose. Yeah, I mean that was more for the younguns, if you like. But like I've always had an old mind, Ben. So that was my show. If I was given the option between, I've always liked older music anyway, and I'm not really into your top 40 stuff. So if I was given the choice at that time, Hurst's Daily Dose or Dixie and Gail, then Dixie and Gail would be my choice. Definitely at that point. But they were both incredible. I mean, Hurst is like incredible anyway.
Yeah, she's recently left the BBC.
Yeah, and we await what the next part of her career is. But no doubt it'll be big things.
She's on the Hits Radio network this weekend doing her weekend belters, I think.
Yeah. But she's had an incredible career and an absolute legend of broadcasting, especially in our area, but around the UK.
If I was a big boss for a big corporation, I'd hire her, Steve Jordan, and Neil Fox on my daytime lineup.
How much money you got, Ben? You got a lot of money?
Now, if I ever had my own radio station, I'd have them
Oh,
three
right,
on my
okay.
daytime lineup.
You might need a bit of an investment to afford them people.
Yeah.
I'll give you a fiver, Ben, if you want. I'll give you a fiver. We'll start from there.
Of course, I jerk. Of course. If ever I did commercial radio, I only have one condition.
Go on.
I have to do 1 day of community radio.
That's good. Keep it local. Keep it local. That's where a lot of amazing ideas are born in community radio, and some of the things
Dave
you can't.
Nightingale as well does two radio stations. He does Hull Kingston, and I think he does in Sheffield. I think it's called Gem AM.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of ideas that you do in community radio sometimes aren't transferable over to commercial radio, but it's where good ideas. That's like student radio. It's like where good ideas are created, and you learn your craft and you develop. You can do things that you might not be able to do usually on commercial radio with certain restrictions.
I'm also in talks as well a little bit with Joel Ross as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, you know a lot of people, Ben. I mean, it's almost to the point where I think everybody must owe you a favor because you've had that many people on.
Someone called me a legend of Hull, but I don't like that accolade. I like to give that to Darren Leatham because he's the legend who I've interviewed already.
Give that to Darren. You can be just a god of Hull. Just do it that way instead.
I don't like the god term. I'm just a broadcaster who loves to talk.
That's all right. We'll stick with that one, Ben. That's a good way to describe yourself.
Who were your inspirations in broadcasting growing up? Question 2.
Good question. I think it's very important, and I tell my students this whilst I'm teaching broadcast journalism as well, is that it's important to have inspirations in different avenues of whatever job that you're interested in. So take radio, for example. My idols are commercial radio, breakfast. I mean, I've already mentioned Dixie and Gale, incredible. In terms of the radio stations that I listen to the most, I'm more of an indie rock radio fan, so Radio X is my go-to place. I love Dan O'Connell. I think he's absolutely incredible. Never shouting, never like, oh, welcome, it's Radio X, man. It's all very softly toned. It's very quiet. And it's very, very relaxing for that kind of like that midway point of the day, the 1-4 slot. Then you got like talk radio. I'm a big fan of Nick Ferrari. I think Nick Ferrari is an incredible whatever you think about like him and maybe his views and things like that. And same with James O'Brien. I think they both create captivating radio. Whether you like them or not, you listen because you've got an opinion on them. And then you've got, in terms of, I'm a big sports fan. So the show that I listen to at night, usually every night, which is a bit weird, whilst people are watching Netflix and that kind of stuff and watching reruns of Coronation Street, I've got TalkSport on and I'm listening to the Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy. And because at that time of night, Ben, at 10 o'clock while 1 in the morning, you're going to get an absolute variety of different characters. Some people that are drunk, some people that are going out, some people that are coming back in, some people that are on nights that just can't bother to go back to work, some people that are going to work, some people that are coming home from work. So you've got like an array of different people. So I love that. So in my inspirations depend on what kind of radio I'm currently listening to. For entertainment, Jason Cundy and Andy Goldstein on the Sports Bar is brilliant. For that political and that knowledge, James O'Brien, Nick Ferrari, brilliant. For music passion, Dan O'Connell at Radio X, amazing. And then when I started listening to radio, Dixie and Gale on Breakfast on Real Radio Yorkshire was an incredible listen as well.
And also, there's also a presenter who I love to bits. His name's Mike Graham from Talk Radio.
Yeah. Another one got captivating. Now you might have opinions on these people, and that's what they're there for. They're there for you to not sit on the fence with their beliefs, but they are.
I don't mind a bit of as well. Sorry, I don't mind a bit of as well. Matt Dolan as well.
Yeah, Yeah. Like similar talk radio and talk sport. They are amazing radio stations with amazing personalities on there. Whether like you've got Adrian Durham on talk sport, incredible broadcaster, but and he says things to get reactions off people. And he wants people to either agree but usually disagree, and then that gets the phones lighting up to take phone calls. That creates captivating, entertaining radio. It's all right you saying something then everybody agreeing with you. That's rubbish. That's awful radio. But if people disagree with you, then it's different.
I also don't mind a bit of James Whale in the evening sometimes.
James Whale, another one. Like personalities, you can't have it's to hold a talk radio show, to hold a phone-in program, you need to have that personality. You need to have somebody who's not afraid to say what they want to say. Because radio is such a personal thing. You sit there, you listen to it. Usually, talk radio at night, I would probably hazard a guess, Ben, that 99.9% of the people listening to talk radio or listening to speech radio at night are going to be on their own. So it's quite a personal experience listening to things like talk radio, talk sport at that time. So to create that connection and to create that debate is very important, and to create that interaction with your listeners. It's difficult, trust me, because you need to have a massive backbone to be able to do that kind of job. I think I will maybe possibly struggle with doing that at this point. I ain't had enough life experience to do that kind of job. But the people that do it are absolute masters.
You might know as well a guy called Richard Stead.
Yeah, BBC Radio Leeds.
Yeah, he used to be on Minster.
Yeah. Again, don't know him, but the industry is quite a small place. Ben, you get to know of people very, very quickly, especially when you follow people on Twitter and social media. You get to know people quite well, just by replying and networking and that kind of thing.
Have you ever worked in the Humberside region, Hull?
No. I've worked for the Links FM group, which had a station in Hull, and I was before I did like my regular shows on there. I was like a freelance presenter for a bit. So, and that kind of entailed me working for different people, but I never came across working at Hull. So I didn't have the privilege, Ben, of working on your patch. So I'm and you might be glad of that, to be honest. But no, I didn't. I've been to Hull. I'm going to Hull at the weekend for a bank holiday but I'm not never been worked there.
There's a guy as well who was on Viking, Scott Clark, as well on a Friday night. So yeah.
Well, I'm a station surfer. I mean, I've got the ones that I like to listen to. Without a doubt.
Might I recommend as well Stephanie Hare's Weekend Belters from 9 o'clock on Hits Radio.
Yeah, I'll take a listen. I mean, I love. This is why I'm a big fan of DAB radio, because the stations that you get on DAB now, just by flicking through the list, crazy. Like some really crazy stations, and some stations that you never thought would ever exist. And it's great to flick through them and listen to the different content and to nick ideas from, essentially. But when you're traveling like across the country, there's nothing better than just to station surf, to see what's about, see what's happening, see what people are doing to keeping the industry fresh, and what ideas people have got, so that eventually you could maybe nick it and adapt it to wherever it is that you work. Everybody does that.
Yeah. I was also going to say, before we get on to question 3, if ever you need a lecture on radio stuff, just, you have Stephanie Hurst, don't you? You know Stephanie Hurst.
I met Stephanie a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, just a fountain of knowledge of radio.
Get her to ask her for a lecture.
Yeah. I invite her in, talk to my students, because what she doesn't know about radio and just the mechanics of it and how it all works probably isn't worth knowing, I'd have thought.
Legend.
She knows everything. Yeah, without a doubt.
She deserves more awards, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Without a doubt, you never know. Whatever she's up to next might be that another big show somewhere, hopefully national. That'd be amazing. But she's got it in the locker to do whatever she likes. To be fair.
Yeah, I think I know where she may be going next, but I'm just predicting.
Ben's got
I
gossip.
don't know because I haven't spoken to her, but Nigel Bond knows, but he's not allowed to tell me because.
Oh, right. Okay. Are you
Might have
working for
heard of
radio
Nigel.
today?
He's on my program later on tonight.
Ah, cool. Yeah,
I've
good.
got 2 more podcasts after this, but I'll probably keep across the sports results between podcasts.
Yeah, good. I love it. I love how you get just like it's like a sausage factory. Just keep like churning them in and out. These podcasts, boom, done. Lee, get off. Right, next person on. Right, you leave. Right, next person. I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to write Jim Coulson a reference for BBC. I was going to send him my podcast and say, give him a job, give him a job, give him a job. I'll write him 100-page reference just so the BBC go. Just so the BBC, I'll make it so believable that the BBC don't actually read it and just say what the hell.
Well, you could be the tipping point in somebody getting a job. You are the difference. And be like, oh, Ben. Oh, right. Oh, nice one. Right, give him a job. Like if Ben's wrote something about him, then that's it. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, question 3. What is your favourite part about the job?
I remember Howard Stern. Howard Stern. I remember once Howard Stern saying it's all about the announcement, and I completely get that. So do you know that feeling when you get given a new show or you get a new job on a radio station, and that like announcement moment? That's quite an enthrall. Like, oh, it's that tweet that you send out. Some personal news. I'm now going to be there. It's like that's an amazing feeling. That is the favorite part, I reckon, of the job for a lot of people. But truthfully, my favorite part is just connecting with listeners. And it sounds pretty cheesy and quite, everybody will say that, but it is because it's a very personal medium doing radio. And it's not everybody's bag. And people look at it and go, you sit in a room and you talk to yourself for a few hours. That's a bit odd. But creating that connection with regular listeners, and when you've got an idea and you think to yourself, will that work with our target audience? Yes, it will. Right, we're going to make it happen then. My favorite part is just coming up with ideas and coming up with ideas that I know that the audience will like. And it's almost like when you've got an idea, you try it for the first time, you're like, run it by the audience first, see if they like it. And there's nothing better that when they do like it and they get involved and you think, oh, that does work, that. And then you carry it on for a few weeks or a few months, depending on how long you want to run the feature for or whatever it is. My favorite part is just creating, coming up with ideas and seeing if it works, essentially.
Also, sorry, my part as well is about. Also, my problem would be is if ever I was at a radio station, I'd probably end up staying too long, if you get what I mean.
What, just like messing about each studio?
No. Saying like when it's time to move on or something, I'd end up staying over.
Right. Yeah, I'm to be honest, I saw a really nice quote earlier a few days ago, and it said just like concentrate, something on the lines of concentrate on now and just don't look too far into the future. Just worry about what's happening right now. I mean, it sounded a lot better when it was wrote on a Facebook post with a person looking over into like a blue yonder. But I'm the kind of person that is always looking to do the next thing, which doesn't sound great. So if there's any future employers of mine listening to this, then that doesn't sound too good. But that's what I'm like. I like to keep on moving. I get a little bit when I get stale, I get a bit bored. I like to come up with ideas constantly. So I'm probably the opposite to you, Ben. Actually, I'll probably know when it's time to leave. If something's not working, it's all for the listeners. You don't do this job for you, because you don't do it for the money or anything like that. If you do it for the money, then you're completely in the wrong job. You do it for the people that listen.
If ever I left the station, I'd normally go out on top.
That's right. Well, you do that. I mean, and you've got to, with radio, especially when it's all about listening figures and whether people are going to like you or not like you and that kind of stuff. You've got to kind of not reach the top straight away, but be pretty nippy in getting there. Just because you want the audience to trust you, you want you to enjoy it, and you want your bosses to just to know that you're doing a good job, so that they can't sack you eventually. But yeah, always. I do agree. If you're going to go out and you're going to kind of finish the job and you're going to move on to something else, then go out whilst you're doing something amazing. Don't let it peter out and kind of just dissolve into nothing, then leave. Just like I would probably advise, like you just said, maybe like you said, go out on top, go out whilst you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah. Babour need to rehire you.
Me, they don't. They don't need to rehire me. They've got some amazing broadcasters who are, and I'm very, 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 very knowledgeable of the fact that they're a lot better than me, and that is absolutely fine because they have made a lot more maybe sacrifices than me to get to where they need to be. They've done a lot of moving around the country to go and get that ideal job. So that's very nice of you to say, Ben. But they've got some outstanding
Global
broadcasters.
need to pick you up or something.
All right. Well, you can tell him. Have a chat with them. Who's in charge now? A Global. What's his name? Can't remember his name now. Ashley. Get in touch with Ash. Drop him a line. Write me a reference.
I did have an idea. I'd sneak into Babour with one of an ex-presenter.
Yeah.
But I'd pretend to be the producer and let the presenter have an ex-Babour presenter. Say, for example, Jim Coulson have an hour on Babour.
Yeah, you got all these like plans mapped out, Ben.
Yeah.
Like you've
so
very,
that
very
Babour
sneaky.
management don't shut us down. I just lock the studio door.
Yeah, so they can't. They've got to stay open because one person's there.
Yeah, I'd just lock my production door so they can't interrupt my production.
Yeah, I thought about that when the Links FM group got taken over, but we were all at home anyway. We were all working from home during that time, so we couldn't do a protest. We couldn't do it, unfortunately.
No, because yeah, it's good. Yeah, anyway. Question 4: how has COVID affected your life and line of work?
It's affected everybody, hasn't it? I mean, it's absolutely mental what's happened. I can remember like when COVID first got mentioned, because I was doing like freelance radio work and then also working as a teacher, as a broadcast journalism tutor. And we got sent an email saying, right, we're going to finish Easter a little bit earlier. We're going to finish 2 weeks before, and we'll see you all after Easter. And we were like, "Way, nice one. Right, see you then. Happy days. I'm going to pub." And then all of a sudden, we never went back. So it's affected everybody's lives. I'm in a crazy amount. In terms of radio, it's affected obviously the industry as a whole. People doing a lot more shows from home now. I think some things have come good out of it in terms of like working from home. I found now that I can be quite productive at home sometimes. Sometimes maybe not so much. But one thing that has come quite good out of all this lockdown craziness is that I've managed to build myself, because I had to, a studio at home where I can create content. I've got all the audio interface. I've got a mic stand and everything. I've got lovely headphones. I've got 3 computers that are around me that are all linked together. And that's just, I keep buying things, not telling the fiance. Then she comes home and then she says, "Oh, you've got a new computer screen, have you?" "Yes, I have." "Brilliant. What can I have?" So I've kind of like over the past year, I've built a studio. So that's one thing that's come good out of it. But I miss being in a studio, Ben. I haven't been in a studio for quite a while because the station that I work with at the minute, everything's done like remote.
Who's your
which I think
gaffer?
So at the minute, there's Warren, or was Miller, and then there's Stuart Nicholson, who they used to. Stuart used to do the Rother FM breakfast show for the Links FM group, and Was did a few shows across the network. I think mainly on Tracks, possibly on Rother as well, and they've created 2 radio stations. One will be on DAB at the end of the year, and the Doncaster station is going on DAB plus in the next week. So maybe that's a scoop.
Commercial radio, Curvy has pushed commercial radio's plans to go networked forward by about a few years.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think it's pretty. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Like moving people on and saying you haven't got a job here anymore. But in terms of a business sense, I can see why it makes sense. Why would you have like 4 or 5 presenters doing maybe a show, or do 4 or 5 presenters all in the same kind of area doing shows when you can have one doing it? But that obviously impacts, like it has done with me and the people that I used to work with at Links FM Group. It impacts their jobs. But COVID has kind of almost grabbed businesses and then made everybody kind of move a little bit quicker into like the future almost. I reckon that working from home and doing networking in commercial radio would have taken off even more in the next few years. But it feels like we've had to move quicker to save money. So I think we'd have always got to this point where we are now, but we've had to go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, Neil Fox. We had Neil Fox on a few months ago. He broadcasts from his shed.
Yeah, I'm in my back bedroom. I call it the studio, but it's the small bedroom in my house. I was going to turn my shed into a studio. Yeah, I've got a bit of soundproofing. I've got it. It looks lovely. It's great, and it feels like I'm in a radio studio. I've got no kids, so one day I may have to give up this studio for a cot or for some bunk beds or something.
Hopefully, you'll be back in a main studio by that point.
Hopefully so, or maybe I'll have won the lottery and I can have 5 studios in my house then. But I doubt that. I doubt that'll happen.
Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of great presenters out there, but not enough slots.
It's so true. That's so true. And I know the 5th question, and I've already thought about the answer to this question, and you've kind of already answered a little bit of it there. So I'll wait for you to ask it, and then I'll answer it.
When we did this with Danny Myler, we asked where the £1 million was.
For what? For doing this?
Yeah.
I thought we're getting 2 million.
Yeah, because I had Danny Myler on. You might know him.
Yeah, again, it's Danny Milo, top of his game at the minute. Incredible broadcaster, presenter, funny, relatable. He is everything that you want in a breakfast presenter, Danny Milo. Incredible. And
his co-presenter, Rosie Madison, does a good job.
Yeah, well, both of them together are just like, they are. Pulse One has been kind of molded into an amazing radio station.
I prefer them. I like Danny Milo and Rosie, but I also like Jim Coulson and Rosie as well.
Yeah.
When they used to do Viking.
I didn't listen to that show, but I've listened to Danny Milo and Rosie quite a lot, and they would not be out of place on a national radio station. They are incredible. I wish somebody would take them, and I think they did Virgin Radio for a little bit a few years ago.
They also do a bit of work at weekends for Glenn Pinder as well on shop radio, like Super Drugs.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, both of them are incredible broadcasters. I can remember listening to Danny Milo when he was on Radio Air, and when he used to do the mid-morning show on the Pulse of West Yorkshire, I think it was called then. And it was just an incredible, just like a mixed mash of all sorts, just so entertaining, so fun. And you listen to that show, and that sounded like the breakfast show, but it was like between 10 and 1. So it wasn't a breakfast show, but in terms of its content, it was.
He's in him, and he's Danny Milo's mentored by the lovely Stephanie Hurst as well, I think.
Yeah, and you can
And
tell there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of
and Rosie as well.
Yeah, there's in their show is it's different, obviously, different radio station, different imaging, different content, what's asked from it's a different company. But the way the show's put together and the enthusiasm of that show and how it's all constructed is as close as what you'll get to Hurst's Daily Dose. And you can tell that Stephanie has not a big say in the show, but just like the coaching side of them two as presenters and a bit of guidance, you can tell that there's a lot of her in the way they work.
Yeah, she also, because whereas I'm mentored by Pete Mills from Millsy and Dan.
Yeah, it's really important to have somebody who you can talk to, that you can chat to. Ask for feedback, somebody that can be quite constructive as well, not telling you that you're amazing at everything, that can tell you how to get better at things. That's very important. And if you've got that somebody who's been there, done it, and knows the score and bought the t-shirt a million times, and then that kind of help is never overlooked. To have that kind of person in your life, in your career, is like a godsend, really.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a lot of radio presenters at my station because I've just got back into the studio properly to do a few shows recording. We're waiting to have Sam Hayward in the studio. Hopefully she'll be the first guest, fingers crossed.
Sam Hayward is a lovely person. I feel like I'm talking more about
the guy as well who works in Egypt now, Mark Somers on Viking.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it Mark? Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know Mark. But I know Sam. And Sam was an incredible help to me when I found myself in a bit of not a rut, but I was like, I just didn't know what to do next, didn't know what to do, how to do it. I was just a little bit stuck, if you like. Sam's teaching, I think, now, so that kind of like sense of like wanting to help people, that's just who she is. So she's incredible. So you'll have a good chat with Sam.
And you should, if you know him, Martin Kellner, try and get Martin Kellner for a future lecture as well.
Yeah. That's what we want to do, to be honest, Ben. We try and get people in that, like guest lecturers that come in, maybe do like a day or two with the students to teach them about, because they get bored of my voice eventually, Ben. They want somebody else in. As much as they say that they like me, I know that sometimes having the same teacher every day about the same kind of stuff get a bit repetitive. So it's good to have different people in. So yeah, it's good shout, Ben.
Yeah, also, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us, Lee, today.
No worries, man. Anytime. Enjoyed it. I can't wait to get me 2 million quid.
Unfortunately, I don't have that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Then. I'll do it for free because I like you then.
Do join me again soon for another podcast, but for now, please give it up for my special guest, Lee Babour.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you very much for watching, and that's a wrap.
That was my interview with Lee Babour. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it fulfilled your gaps. And I really hope it made you smile. That's it from me. No more uploads from me today, unfortunately, but I'll be back tomorrow and Friday. So yeah, lots coming up in the next couple of weeks. So lots of radio news, lots of personal news, and lots of more interviews coming up to be announced. So yeah, just keep your ears to the ground, eyes peeled, and I'll try and upload some more tomorrow, but for now, Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever you have to do. And yeah, and do whatever you have to do and BL out, and that's a wrap. And join me for the next video.